Our next guest is a familiar face to just about everyone, with his lead roles in Law and Order and The Newsroom, among many other Hollywood credits. But Sam Waterston's work goes beyond the screen to the political arena and his involvement with Open Democracy, a group that advocates for campaign finance reform. Sam, thanks for joining us today.
Nice to see you.
Appreciate your time.
You left out Grace and Frankie.
Okay, there you go. The long credit list we can roll.
I know, but
on campaign finance reform, I don't think I can think of another issue where you have people on both sides of the aisle who seem to be just fed up with the slimy role that money can play in politics from time to time, but then nothing ever happens about it. Why is that?
Well, you say nothing ever happens about it, but the reason I'm here is because there's an opportunity for New Hampshire to do something about it, and I think just based on what you exactly observed just now, the time is ripe. People know that this is basic to having your own representative be your representative and not have that be mediated by piles of money.
What is the obstacle that has kept reform from happening in the past?
Well, I think part of it is that there is some immediate issue. I think the thing that the politicians say most often is, I'd love to do something about that, but I'm just too busy. I've got to get this done, I've got to get that done, and you know, you care about this and you care about that. But in the meantime, all of those things that people do and very legitimately care about are being interfered with, and the conversation is being changed by the money.
When you talk about money, we here in New Hampshire, we have the First in the Nation primary, obviously. We're used to seeing the candidates make their pilgrimages here in the snow.
Well, that's exactly why I think it's so exciting that New Hampshire is doing this, because there has been a tremendous amount of progress in municipal elections and some states, and my state, Connecticut, has publicly financed elections from most of the statewide state offices, although not for any federal offices, and it should happen at the federal level. But if New Hampshire does it, it will be a demonstration, and it will get a lot of attention, because every single candidate that comes through here hoping to be president of the United States will have to answer this question, and New Hampshire will be an object lesson in how it can work. So now's the time. This bill that is going to be considered here is going to be up for a vote in 2019. Suppose New Hampshire had that in place when the primaries start for 2020. What a wonderful thing it would be for the citizens of New Hampshire to be able to say, we have it, what about you? Where do you stand? What are you going to do? How are we to believe you when you say that this is a major issue for you?
And the bill you're discussing would create caps on elections here in New Hampshire in terms of spending. It would be opt-in for candidates. Voter dollars, they have a system there where people would get certificates of $25 each to give to candidates.
And this is a terribly important thing, that that people would have vouchers with which they could vote with their money for a candidate. And they would know that as they did that they were able to do that because of public financing for elections, and the connection between their power, the power of their voice, and the power for them to be heard would be emphasized every time they participated in an election, and it would reinforce the whole system, I think.
And yet we've seen the pendulum moving in the other direction. As I was noting before, you see these candidates making the pilgrimage to New Hampshire of late since the Citizens United decision. They also make that pilgrimage to some of these gentlemen like Sheldon Adelson. You'll see they go straight to the billionaires to ask for money, essentially. I'm not sure if there's anyone who thinks that's a great idea, that the First in the Nation primary now competes with individual donors, essentially, who can fund the vast networks that sort of funnel money in the direction of issues and campaigns.
Well, money is never going to stop having an influence, and I'm not sure that it's such a bad thing. After all, this is a capitalist country. But the really important thing for people to keep in mind is that when the system that we are governed by now first came into existence, the difference between the very richest and the very poorest was much narrower than it is now. So money had a proportionately smaller influence on the outcome of elections. Now, we haven't really had a period where the extremes differences between great wealth and the rest of us have been so great, not since just before the Great Depression. And in those days, people used to say that you were getting the best government that money could buy. And we don't want that. We don't want to be living in that circumstance again.
You mentioned the First Amendment issue. What is an acceptable level for a cap, I guess, to a donation to a campaign or a candidate?
Well, whatever it is that restores some rough balance between great wealth and the rest of us at the ballot box, not in the broader society. There's no worry. Money has no reason to worry that it's not going to be heard. It will be heard all over the place. The idea of this is simply to get the hand of money out of the ballot box. And then, you know, and then let the games begin. No, it's not going to be paradise on earth or anything, but it'll be a lot nicer than it is now.
And that seems to be, I mean, money like water will find a way. There have been systems in the past that attempt to control it, and people find a way. The campaign finance gurus find a way to subvert it.
It's not about the system. It's about a rough balance in the society between tremendous wealth, really unheard of wealth, and the rest of society. So something needs to be done so that the rest of society is in some kind of rough balance with great wealth. And public financing of elections will not change that imbalance, but it will give the rest of society a fairer voice.
I'm curious for your perspective on one other topic here, the idea of celebrity in politics. It's been a fun relationship over the years, and we've seen it kind of grow closer and closer together from Kennedy through Reagan and now with President Trump.
Don't you worry, I'm not in politics.
No, but and I know you're not going to be run for president.
To do with politics, and I don't want it.
But I'm just curious for your perspective as someone who is both famous and involved in political campaigns and issues and getting behind things like this. Do you think it's going to be increasingly important for people to be famous to be heard?
I think it's very important for citizens to be heard. You're willing to have this citizen on TV because this citizen happens to be a little more famous than Olivia. But somebody's got to be speaking. And it always makes me laugh when they say you should shut up because you're a celebrity, and you should shut up because you're a woman, and you should shut up because you're an African American. And what's the common denominator here? Everybody should shut up except us, and we'll tell you what to do and how to think. And that's obviously not the American way.
All right. Well, Sam Waterston, we appreciate your perspective and thank you for your time here today, and hope to see you back. You've been coming back here a few years now, and so we'll see how things play out.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.